Okay, today we're going to go over the Janitorial Growth Triangle. It's really every single method that works to help you grow your janitorial business and get it to 8 figures. As always, my name is Peter Boland and I've closed over $50 million in commercial cleaning contracts, and this is simply what works for us. Now, if you're like every other janitorial company I speak to, you guys all want more contracts. And I created this growth triangle so you could simply find out what works and what doesn't work. And you can cut through the noise about how to market your cleaning company and grow. There's a million ways to do it, but there's only a handful of ways that actually work to generate you leads. And that's really what we're going to talk about today. So keep in mind, these are all marketing functions. And marketing, I define as any action that generates a lead. It is that simple. Okay, the difference between sales and marketing is sales is after you get a lead, how you take it through a sales cycle all the way to close. And marketing is every single thing to generate a lead. That's how you differentiate the two. And just a disclaimer here, if you're under $1 million or even if you're over, don't try to implement all of these things at once. It gets to be extremely difficult. I would simply suggest implementing one at a time until you have it completely and utterly maximized and you can repeat cycles of success again and again and again with it, then move on to something else. Now, 2 mistakes people always make when they start using the Janitorial Growth Triangle is, one, they try to take their limited resources, like they don't have a lot of money, and then they try to do all of the things at once. And what happens is you never really, A, learn how to do them correctly, or B, you don't invest enough into it to actually see a return, and then you don't think they work. So like I said before, only try to implement one at a time and invest all your resources into that. Number 2 is most companies tend to fail to evaluate arbitrage between the 3 angles. They don't ask themselves, where can I invest the least amount of time, money, or energy in order to get the highest quality lead consistently so they can scale their business again and again and again. And the word scale is something that most people tend to have an issue with. They don't understand what it means. And scale to me really means creating trainable systems and repeatable processes that create consistent and duplicatable results, period. So when you're thinking scale, really what you're doing is you're learning everything about it so you could train it to other people and create repeatable and duplicatable results that skyrocket your business. Instead of you growing flat, you start growing like this. Okay, so let's get into the triangle here. The first part of the triangle is paid ads. An example of paid ads here are like Facebook and Meta ads, Google and Bing ads, retargeting ads. These type of ads are the ones that work. You're gonna notice that I'm not mentioning things like bus sign ads, magazine ads, even radio ads. Those do not add any value to you growing your company. It's very, very hard to make it scalable, and they're extremely expensive, especially radio. So for the point of it, we're going to focus on these 3 here. Now, all these work. Every single thing that I'm mentioning works, but you just have to evaluate the arbitrage for you. And when it comes to these types of ads, they take more money. Now, everything I'm mentioning here works. And that's one thing people don't understand, is all marketing works. Really, though, what you're looking for is which one works the best, which gets you the lowest cost of a lead that's the highest quality. And when it comes to these ones, the way it works is these cost more money, less effort, and less time. So what you can do is you can pay somebody to build the ads out for you. You can pay somebody to manage them. They're very, very cheap. You go into Fiverr and you'll find somebody that can do it. But they cost a lot of money to get a lead. And this is where most newer companies tend to struggle with it, because what they're going to try to do is invest $500 a month into getting a lead, but $500 might only get you 1 lead. I wouldn't recommend doing this unless you had about 5 to 10K a month to spend. Period. And we've done this. I've invested over $150,000 in these, and the ones that work the best are Google and Bing ads. We've done this. Okay, we've invested over $150K in ads, and I would stick to mainly Google and Bing They're going to give you the best quality leads, but what's going to end up happening is your lead cost is going to be anywhere between $200 and $500 a month. You're going to have to burn money for a few weeks to a month to even get the leads kind of going correctly. And if you're investing anything under between $3,000 to $8,000 a month, you're not going to see a lot of success with it. There's also diminishing returns with it. And what I mean by diminishing returns is if you're in a city of, let's say, 1 million people and you're investing $7,000 a month and your average leads cost is, let's say, $400 a month, and you want more leads and you're like, all right, well, I'm going to take this $7,000 and put it up to $14,000 a month to get more leads. What it's going to do is it's going to market you at the top more. Your cost per lead is going to go up, but you're not necessarily going to get more leads because there's not more people looking for your service. So all you're doing is spending a lot more money to get nothing back. There's a point where you can't grow anymore within a city. Now, if you're going wide, national, or you have multiple cities, by all means do it. By all means, you can do it. But the cost per lead is going to be a lot more expensive. And it doesn't necessarily mean you get a really good, high quality, guaranteed lead. So the recommendation really is if you have the money, amazing. Go ahead, throw it at it. If you're okay with between $200 and $500 a month in a lead, you're great. If you have a giant wide area to cover, go ahead and do it. It's awesome. But leads can be inconsistent. There's a point where you're just not going to get more out of it. The second part I'm talking about is warm outreach. Now, warm outreach is SEO, website, referrals, friends and family, as well as networking events. So these can be extremely low cost for you. They don't essentially cost anything unless you're investing in some SEO, but they take a lot of time and a lot of effort. So warm outreach is great for branding in your market, getting people to recognize you and creating a name for your company. The issue is eventually you're going to run out of friends and family and networking events, or you're eventually going to meet everybody. So you tend to kind of cap out on this. And if you're just starting out and you don't have a lot of clients, very, very, very difficult to get a lot of referrals if you don't have any clients. SEO, Google Business, your website can all get you leads. Some months, especially depending on what you're investing in and where you're all investing it, you can get 0. Other months, you can get 5 to 10. I personally don't like using it. It takes a long time to get going. And if it's used without something like paid ads, you tend not to get a lot out of it, or it's very, very inconsistent. I know one guy who does this absolutely amazing for his company, and he grows. He has an 8-figure cleaning company, but he invests a lot of money in Google Ads as well too. He doesn't just rely on SEO to bring things in. So the lead quality can be very, very, very inconsistent. For us personally, when we've done this and when we tried it for about 8 months, it was generating 1, maybe 2 leads a month. And for me, that's just not scalable. In order for us to hit a target of we want to do 40 million a year, we need like 150 to 200 leads coming in every single month. And 2 leads just wasn't going to cut it. It wasn't enough to invest in and really figure it out, because going from 2 leads to 200 leads with it is just not possible. There's again a point where I can't reach with how we want to grow. So networking events are amazing. Absolutely do them, especially places like Chamber of Commerce, because those are all local businesses within your area. If you're going to networking events that are not in your area, or that are about, let's say marketing, where these people that are going aren't business owners, maybe you'll learn a good skill set of marketing, but you're not going to meet enough connections to kind of grow your business. Again, this is very hit and miss depending on where you do it. Chamber of Commerce is great because it's all the business owners of that area. You're going to have to meet them, get their number, try to set up lunches. They probably already have companies that they're very happy with, which is totally fine. And then you're going to have to introduce yourself, maybe give a free quote, and then follow up until they're ready to move forward. So this is great for initially starting out and getting some business going. Again, it hits a point where you can't scale past it. But it's great to get some leads every single month and maybe get 1 or 2 clients a month from it. And if you're area is huge, like you have a giant city that you're in, 1 million, 1.5 million people, amazing. You could keep doing this again and again and again and getting clients from it. So this takes a lot of energy to do, but it's a great way to do it if you're doing it personally or if you have a sales guy that's going and he's using it to generate leads for you. Really good job for it. So to me, warm outreach is unscalable on a giant scale unless you're getting lots of clients, which you then can change into referrals to get more clients. So that's my feeling on warm outreach. The third point to this is cold outreach. And this is where, to me, all the money is made. And this is where you could really build something that's extremely scalable. So this is like the holy grail. This is what we've used to scale to an 8-figure cleaning business. Again, I'm not saying the other ones don't work, but for us, this is the one that we've used, period. Right now, currently, we're doing close to $40,000 a month of new clients every single month that stay with us for 2.5 years. So that's generating almost $1.2 million a month of commercial cleaning contract value. It is absolutely amazing, but this does take more money, more time, and more effort. But it's a skill that if you learn it, it is duplicatable in any single business, and it's gonna help you grow as quick as humanly possible. So the methods used for cold outreach are cold email outreach. This is different than using something like MailChimp. Cold calling, door knocking, and requests for proposals. And here's why cold outreach works so well. You are marketing to people where they need your service and who are the decision makers. You would never see a beer commercial on a kids programming show. They can't buy any booze. It is not their audience. It does not work. And so for us, when you're using cold outreach, what you're doing is you're investing all your marketing efforts towards the place where your customer is in the facility that they're in. And that's why it works so well. You're going to them to get their attention, period. Now, the thing with cold outreach is it takes more time, more energy, and more effort. There's no doubt about that, but the investment is absolutely amazing. So let's dive into each of these. The first one we're gonna go over is cold email outreach. This is absolutely amazing. This is, again, different than using like MailChimp or a monthly newsletter or something like that. What you're doing here is you're getting a list of emails of people that could potentially need your service. You're using a program like Instantly that can send out hundreds of emails every single day after you warmed up the emails, and it delivers directly to their inbox. So these type of cold email outreach gets past the barriers that Google and Windows have for their email, where they don't send it into like the spam filters, or they don't send it into other filters that are not prioritized for marketing. It gets directly into their inbox where they could read it. And that's why there's such a high response on this. Now, there are tons of videos on YouTube if you want to learn how to do this yourself. You could also go into Fiverr and find somebody that can do this for you. But doing it correctly is going to yield a extremely higher result for you, like extremely higher. We've done this with somebody who was a novice at it, and it honestly got us 20 to 40 okay leads a month, where we probably ended up with 10 good ones. And then we've done this with somebody that's like a pro and invested $3,000 a month in them. And he's got us 400 leads a month. And out of that 400 leads, 60 of them are absolutely fantastic, where we end up closing 20 to 30 of the leads. So I highly recommend doing this. Again, it works better if you're in a bigger area. If you're in a little city, you're going to kind of burn through the leads a lot quicker. But you can easily do this in any city, and you're going to get leads from it. And there's not a lot of work for you if you hire the right person to do it for you. This I absolutely love. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is cold calling. And to me, this is the absolute best angle to take. We currently have over 20 appointment setters that are generating us close to $40,000 a month in new contracts. which is they stay for 2.5 years, and we're almost doing $1.2 million a month in contract value every single month. So this works through and through, no doubt about it. The issue that we have with this is there's extremely steep learning curve to it. But if you take the time to learn it, it is very, very scalable, and you can make as much money as you want with it. But most people get caught in the first step, which is mindset. They're going to start making cold calls themselves. They're going to sit back and be like, oh, it doesn't work. I've made 50 phone calls. This is extremely difficult. There must be an easier way to do it. It's not going to work. Blah, 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 blah. This is one of those skill sets, like all the other skill sets, that it takes time to learn. And if you invest in it and really figure it out, it will make your business extremely scalable. And you can grow very, very quickly. But it will take years to get perfect, but you can start figuring it out and have at least it dialed in about 2-3 weeks. If you want help with this, I help companies with this all the time. Click the link above in my YouTube channel and schedule a free 15-minute coaching call where we can see if we can help you out. But there is a learning curve in it. You have to have the right script. You have to say it correctly with the right tone, ask the right questions. You have to make enough dials every single day. And depending what method you use, I have 2 methods that I tell people about. There's another video on my YouTube channel. There's skimming and digging. Skimming is essentially you're just looking for people that are interested. And if you make about 150 phone calls, you'll get 1.5 appointments a day. So over 2 days, you'd have 3 appointments. And they are very, very high quality where you can close 40 to 50% of them. Digging is you're just trying to get leads that might not be qualified to move forward right now, but you're getting contact info, you're building interest, and then you're going to have to follow up for longer times, and then you'll eventually close it. Your closing on this is about 20%, but you could generate 4 leads a day on it. It's not a problem in any way at all. So it depends which method you want to use. I would highly recommend watching the other video we have on skimming or digging, but this will make you tons of money, but the learning curve is steep, and most people talk themselves out of why they need to learn this and do this because it is very, very hard. Everybody thinks there must be an easier way to do it. If you look at the giant franchise companies within our industry, like the huge ones, Jan Pro, Janiking, all they do is sell franchises to where the franchise owner makes cold calls, goes indoors, knocks, and then closes contracts, and they sell the contracts. Our whole industry for contracts that are like $1,000 a month is built on this. Our whole industry. Now, if you're talking about getting bigger contracts that are $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a month, it's a completely different method. But for those franchise companies, this is exactly how they did it, cold calling. So one of the last ones on this is door knocking. And this is where, if you're a newer company, I highly recommend you using. Like I mentioned before in cold calling, there's a very, very steep learning curve to it, very difficult. And in order to train somebody else to do it, you almost have to learn how to do it first. But with door knocking, the arbitrage on it is insane. I could knock 8 doors, get 1 lead, and close it at close to 40%. It is extremely, extremely good. You're walking into the business, you're asking the person at the front desk if you could speak to the person who makes decisions. Obviously, you introduce yourself. If he's there, great. If she's letting you talk to him, ask him if you could give him a free quote, take him on a tour of the building, meet him in his office afterwards to go over what the price is, negotiate on it, and then try to close the deal, or if not, follow up with him. Okay? But this works insane, and I would highly recommend it. Now, if you can't get a hold of him while you're there because the gatekeeper won't let you through, you get his business card, you send him an email, and you phone him, and you follow up until you can get a walkthrough. So this is absolutely insane. I highly recommend using it for every single person. So for solo janitorial companies or people who have an outside sales rep, this works absolutely amazing. The way I used to do it was this. So how I use door knocking. So I lived in a very, very small 50,000 person town when I started my company. And I would cold call and door knock in that city. But eventually what ended up happening is I ran out of all the places to market towards on this. And I had to go to other cities. So the closest city to me was 2 hours away. And what I would do is I would cold call into the city, scheduling them 3 hours apart for a total of 3 days. I would get up at 6 a.m., drive into the city, do my first appointment, do a fast 5. So I would knock on all the buildings around it, 2 beside, 3 behind. Or if the building was bigger, I would just knock doors in there, and then I would drive to the next appointment. And I would do that all day. For lunch, I would go to the exact same restaurant every single day. And for dinner, I would go to the exact same restaurant every single day. I would try to meet the general manager, meet everybody in there so that when I asked to do a quote for them, they would give it to me. Now, I currently call this nesting. I go to the same place all the time so people get to know me, and then they feel more comfortable in allowing me to give them a quote for janitorial service. Because this method, we have multiple chains of restaurants, and I think totally we have close to 45 restaurants from me just doing this method. And these are all chains owned by the same person, and there's a few different chains that we have. So I would nest for lunch, nest for dinner. At the end of the day, I would be completely burnt out. I had no money back then, so I would sleep in the back of my truck, wake up in the morning, go work out at the YMCA because my wife at the time had a free membership for me because she worked at the YMCA. So work out, shower there, and then I would do it again, go to bed, work out, shower at the YMCA, do it again, and then I would drive home. And at night, I would obviously send out all the quotes and do all the paperwork that I had to do. And this is how I grew my business at the beginning. I just used sheer brute force. Every single week I was away doing this in other cities. And I did this for years. And that's how we got to our first few $1 million a year, is just me grinding it out every single week. Now, the good thing for you is if you're only doing it in a city you operate in and you don't have to drive 2 hours away and sleep in your truck, it's going to be way easier for you. You probably don't even need to cold call into the area and then go door knock. You could just drive to the industrial area of your city. And the reason why I say industrial area of your city is because they get a lot more dirtier, so it's harder to kind of maintain. So they tend to complain a little bit more. Drive to the industrial area of your city, park your car, and just start door knocking across all of the areas and every single building. I'm going to create a video on our YouTube channel. I haven't yet. So if you go to look for it, it's not there, no problem. I'm going to create one within the next week or so where it's going to go over how we did door knocking and how it can work for your business. We'll go over all the steps and phases through it so you guys have it. But this method is great. You're not having to make 150 phone calls. There's not a steep learning curve. You're already in their facility and you can get 1 out of 8. And if you get really good at doing it, I bet you could even do 1 out of 5. And this is how you can get going within your company. The last one is request for proposals. We don't use this that often. But it's when government buildings and big businesses, what they do is they'll send out an RFP, request for proposal, for janitorials to come down, do a walkthrough of their facility and give them a quote. It's great for leads. There's companies out there who are absolutely pros at this and are like, $50, $100 million, almost $1 billion janitorial companies that this is all they do. The contract values are usually way higher. But you're competing with guys that have been doing this forever and have the perfect system, the perfect process in order to get the contracts. So this is a lot harder to get, especially if you're newer. But if you're already bigger and you're wanting to do this more and more and more, works absolutely fantastic for bigger contracts. Learning curve on it's very, very steep. We tend to stay away from it. It's not in our business model. We tend to go after contracts that are on average about $750 a month. This way we can scale it and we have the perfect partner that we can kind of put in. All right, that's all for this video. I want to thank you guys so much for taking the time and watching it. If you are wanting help from me, please book a 15-minute coaching above and I will sit back and assist you for how I can. And if you want to work with us longer, just let me know and there's something I'm sure we can work out. If you haven't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave a comment because I'll respond back to it. Thank you guys very much and I hope you have a great day.